Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 217th live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is Daily Discussions. On today's episode, we have the very first, what do we call it? We have the very first showcase of 2026. Yes, so this is going to be a little bit different than our home review, because we are going to be reviewing something that doesn't quite match the standard day-to-day gameplay for most people. So, since this will be something that is geared towards a very specific type of campaign, very specific DM and playstyle, this is going to have a showcase. So instead of approaching it from the viewpoint of balancing and whether or not people would be able to utilize it and how it could be more approachable, Kage and I will be approaching it specifically from the viewpoint of whether or not we as players would be enticed, what kind of questions we would have, and just our general reaction is as if this was being given to us as a selling point. Now, this is in a continuation actually of a couple other reviews we did. So this one is from Super Foxer. It is a mix of homebrew mechanics specifically for the players, designed for the multi-boss battles that we've been doing reviews for. All of those that were based off of the Chrono Trigger original game. So today's gonna be a little bit different. Those were reviews, but today we're gonna learn why those were so powerful, why they were balanced the way they were, specifically because this was supposed to be a very difficult, very high-level gameplay for players that kind of, I don't know, I guess we're professional min-maxers and really wanted the hardest challenge possible. So these mechanics were specifically given to them to make it a little bit easier. So now we're going to find out why they were so difficult and whether or not we agree that this would actually balance the playing field. Let's find out. Okay. Wasn't a half bad intro. I don't think that was half bad.
That was a beautiful intro. That was
Oh, yeah, wait a second. And that needs to go black.
Uh-oh, Super Foxer says Michael got half what you said.
What? Michael, I caught half of what I said. Oh, that's lame. What do I gotta do? What do I gotta do to fix that? I think it's this one. If I put that all the way over there, I think that was it. Yeah, I think it's because my threshold was a little bit too low. It's either that or that was better. I don't know. I really need a professional to come in and take a look at our microphone settings because I really don't know what I need more specifically to
I don't know. I
to get this to
generally, when I
like
look
trigger
back
better.
to our content, like it's not too bad. It's usually we usually have some pretty good sounding stuff. There's moments here and there, but
It's because I've done so many different changes with the in-house studio because when we had Wander over here, I had to make changes. When you're here, then now that we're going remote, I have to do different changes there. So it's frustrating to say the least, but who knows? I will continue to work on it. Hopefully, I'll do well.
fair enough.
All right. So anyway, we are back, and we almost have enough for the community stream, which is fantastic. So we will get to that hopefully next stream, or maybe someone will, someone like Hecate will drop in, just randomly finish us out halfway through
That's
stream.
gonna happen. That's almost exactly what happened last week too.
But yes, I have some ideas for next month's community stream. There might be a new topic coming. I will get all of that fleshed out because obviously it's going to be happening, and we're going to figure out how to accommodate that. So we will do that here soon. But today we are going over Boxer's player mechanics for the boss series that was based on Chrono Trigger. Now, today is going to be a little bit more of a showcase than it is going to be the standard review, simply because we understand that these are more specific to this style of campaign, more specific to the design, which is not going to be standard. So we're going to do a little bit of a change, and instead of trying to look at balancing, we're just going to try to look at it from the point of view of what we know about the bosses, what we know about the experience, and how we would approach it as players. If we were looking at this, does this entice us? Does this make us interested in this level of gameplay? So that's what we're going to do here, and then instead of 1 through 10, this one will get to the 1 out of 5 stars for appealability, approachability, and just general desire of us wanting to play it, because this is not something that is it was easy enough to review the bosses if you wanted something uber powerful, but when it comes to specific game mechanics that are for a specific gaming session or a campaign, it's not easy to consider balancing. So I try to represent the showcases more as, here's what I like, and here's what I'm enticed about. Here's the questions that I have. Here's the hesitations that I have. But overall, here's my reaction, because yeah, it's not really on me to judge someone else's actual game, right? Like I could talk about all of the homebrew stuff I have in High Point,
Sure.
but that's not the same as me saying, hey, here's a creature I made that I think anybody else can use. It came from High Point, but that's, something where I have to make sure that's appealable, it's appealing to most people, that it's usable. Whereas if I just say it's from High Point, but High Point doesn't have to be appealing, it doesn't have to be usable by most people, but whatever I want to share from it. So that's how I kind of want to dictate those. Is this is much more akin to something that I don't have justification to balance, because it's not the same wheelhouse. We're not trying to adopt this to our world. We're trying to look at this from the point of view of, this was designed to say, hey, is this the type of game you want to play? So that's the way I want to approach it.
Very valid. Very valid.
Before we ask restoration type of spells do use material components for Boxer, which aren't cheap. Gotcha. Okay, so going into this, we should know that resurrection spells do use material components, which are very expensive. That is something that we need to
Okay.
know going
Makes
into
sense.
this.
Valid.
So like Revivify, True Resurrection, all of that does require expensive material components. So yeah,
Okay.
what's going on, Hoylepa? Yeah, so that is
Okay.
the difference between a normal review and a showcase. It is a different point system, so we can categorize them different, and we can show them on the leaderboard differently. But it's also because it's not a compatibility thing, right? It has nothing to do with whether or not I'd be able to use these in High Point. It's more about whether or not I would be interested in playing this type of campaign with these rule sets. All right, but without any more preamble, I think we can begin. Foxer's here. Got a couple other people here, so let's go. Let me get my filter ready because I haven't set up. I'm going to be kind of using the green screen for a while. I guess it's kind of just becoming normal. So I don't know. I should do a poll to see how many people actually prefer the green screen over having like the logo and I guess the subboard in the background. I should do a poll because I actually don't know. Actually, you know what? Let me do a poll real quick because there's a couple people in chat, and I'll probably do another poll in Discord later.
You know what'd be interesting is if we could find a way to put the subboard in the void. You know what I mean? Like to have
I could
background.
I could probably figure out a way to like either take a picture of it or like a small video, like a GIF, and then just have it in the background of our whole thing, and then the green screen would just have us in front of it. Okay, so
That would be kind of cool.
okay, so there we go. We're just gonna do 3 minutes, 2 minutes. We're gonna do 2 minutes because there's not that many people here. But poll in chat. Let us know, what do you think? Do you all prefer the green screen, or do you all actually miss it, or do you like it when you can see the logo and the subboard with everybody's names flashing behind me? Let us know. Oh, we have a hydrate. Thank you so much, Willepa.
Thank you.
But let us know in the poll whether or not you like me in the void. Because if you like the void, Kage is considering of joining me in the void. We might, and just affect his living situation with the void, and we can both be clad in darkness.
I think that would be very cool, actually.
So let us know whether or not you like it, because we may enhance it and continue it, and then we could get like cool backgrounds. We could get a background that makes us look like we're behind like a table or something, like a proper podcast. You know what I mean? And then we could like actually have like a more podcasty feel than just pure void. Because then we can put anything behind this. Just saying. So
true that.
True that. But I probably will do that in the Discord as well. I will try to see what people think we should do in the Discord. Speaking of which, actually, we do have some updates before we continue, because we have some hard decisions ahead of us. I don't know if you saw my recent post in Discord.
You're talking about your video of you and Russ?
No. This was a couple days ago. But basically, what's happening with Discord is just something that I don't know.
I can see that.
If we want to continue with it, like it's not so devastating that we're just like completely cutting ties and burning the ship right now. But sure. I really do want to know whether or not there are alternatives, whether or not there's anything that we could reliably go to. I don't want to stay for this
TikTok not too long ago about one that was kind of
I need to look into that too. Trust in the Void. Okay, we got 2 votes for Trust in the Void. All right, nice. We'd like nice, the green screen. Very nice. But that's my thing, is like knowing what's happening with Discord right now. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how it's going to unfold, and I don't want to stay simply because it's the best or because it's the most convenient. But at the same time, there's a reality where if there's no alternative, is it worth turning our back on the community for something like that, right? Like, how do you build a
Sure.
community when you don't have a place
Without the
like
platform to
that?
do
And then
it.
our only other option would be getting the website up to date, and then we'd have to have some way for them to want to log in, or we'd have to go somewhere like Patreon, which
Mm.
does have free
Mhm.
services, but is still not as integrated as something like Discord. So
Yeah.
I'm not ready to make the final decision on what we're going to do, but I'm not comfortable with how things are going with Discord, and
No, agree.
it's just one of those things where I don't know how to not support it without another option. And outside
Yeah.
of just, saying, hey, we can ruin all of our chances of building a community, to not support this thing. But then does that do any good as well, right?
Yeah.
Like I can
That's a
use the
really
free
hard.
version without using Nitro, right? Like I cannot support
Yeah.
them financially. I don't know. I hate the state of things. I hate trying to make decisions like this because I want to make the best decisions,
Yeah.
but I want those
Yeah.
decisions to also be the least impactful to everybody and be a positive impact. Not I don't want to add more negative impact to a positive
Exactly.
decision kind of thing.
Exactly.
So I don't know what we're doing. There was a couple people in Discord that gave us some alternatives, so I will be looking into those.
Okay. That's good to
Um,
know.
I mean, the same thing's happening with like TikTok right now. I'm rethinking what we're going to be doing. I am putting more focus on YouTube, and TikTok will probably just be a back burner concept because it's kind of its own. We've talked about this before. It's kind of its own
Yeah.
uh,
Creature.
brand at this point. It's its own face of the brand. So I'm probably just going to wean off that and just be that's just more of like a casual thing, and then I will put more effort into the YouTube channel, the longer form videos that I'm doing, and what we're doing here for stream because we still have a couple things
Okay.
that we need to do to expand this year. We have OSR, we have maybe more stream days coming, and
Yeah.
just more content. So we'll find out. But yeah,
We're
I
gonna
don't know. I don't want to
we're
make
gonna
any
have to.
major decisions, but it is something
No,
that we
I
will have
feel
to
that
think
though.
about. All right. Well, enough with that. It is time for a review. Alrighty. Alrighty. Oh, this is why I have to. Okay, so now that everybody has voted, I might actually just make the green screen permanent. Because even if I do make the green screen permanent, it's not like it changes the sub screen at all, like that drastically. That even if it was on and it wasn't there, it'd be fine. So whatever.
Fair enough.
All right. Getting back to today's topic, we have another homebrew review, but again, today is going to be more of a showcase because we have something that isn't designed to be cookie cutter. It's not designed to fit into any specific type of game. It is designed specifically for a very high-powered game directed at a bunch of min-maxers who wanted the most difficult gameplay possible. So, Foxer blessed them with a boss series of insurmountable scales. We've went through all of the bosses, but now we're going to see what made those boss fights actually balanced. Why were they so difficult? Why were they so powerful? And what did the players get in order to counter that? So that's what we're going to be going over today is the homebrew player mechanics from the Chrono Trigger boss series from Super Foxer. All right, so let's look at this. We have player legendary points rule. So starting at 10th level, players begin to unlock legendary points, which can be used to unlock legendary actions. I love the idea of giving players legendary actions in such a high-powered campaign. That is something that I
Agreed.
feel is very akin to what I do in High Point, where once players get strong enough, like my custom feats or my specialized feats, feel very akin to what Fifth Edition would call legendary actions, even though they're not quite specific to like situations in terms of like some of them are very reactionary to specific triggers, but they're not as common as at the end of someone's turn, you can always do one of these. So they're not that common, but I do like this idea. I feel like this is something that standard D&D kind of misses, because while we have feats, they are sometimes too generalized across every class, and there's not enough times where even the subclasses really fully fit the design idea of a character. So having another option, another list of these like legendary actions you can get that are based on what you are, I think that would be really cool. I think that's something that should be adopted into standard. But let's find out what we get here. So the available legendary actions for players can be seen here. So I do believe there is a list for that,
That
correct?
was the link that I sent that to you in Discord.
Let me,
Um,
hang on a second. Let me go grab that. So there we go. So legendary action. So for the legendary actions, this is this one, legendary actions shop. Sorry for the 10 players can choose from these legendary
yes.
actions. Okay, so I'm gonna ask Foxer now while I check something real quick. Which should we go through first? Would we want to just look at the player rule set first and then come back to the legendary actions, or should we go through legendary actions now?
That was so crazy just now. All right, whatever, it's fine. Legendary action scaling first, and then legendary action shop. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, so we will stop at critical fail save rolls. Okay, cool. So there will be some legendary actions available. Now, legendary actions scaling, level 10, the first legendary action point. Start gaining one legendary action ability of their choice per level. Okay, so there's legendary actions, and this is gaining one per level. At 14th, secondary legendary point, they can now obtain legendary actions that cost up to 2 points. Okay, so I'm assuming that the list we're going to look at, each one will have a value. So from 10 to 14, they will be gaining 1 point per level. So I'm assuming, and Foxer, correct me here, that between 10 and 14, they will have gained 4 points. Starting, or they will have gained 3. So they'll gain 1 at 10, 11, 12, and 13. So yeah, they'll have 4 points. Then at level 14, they'll start getting essentially 2 points. So I'm assuming at level 14, it goes from 4 to 6. Is that correct? And then 15 would be 8.
So the way I understand legendary points, so it says the first legendary point, the second legendary point, the third legendary point. So I'm assuming you're only ever going to have 3 legendary points. And you get those 3 legendary points when
To
you
spend
get
per
level
level.
15.
Okay.
To spend per level. But what you get every level is a new ability to choose from. So on that list, there's going to
Okay.
be
So yeah.
abilities
So
to
it's
choose
basically
from.
every
You can
level they can
up to
choose
4.
one, but it's which level of type they can choose. Kind of like spell levels, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly like spell levels.
So we're just gonna treat those like spell levels. So at level 10, you get first level legendary actions. At level 14, you get second level, and at level 18, you get third level legendary actions. Okay.
Absolutely.
That would be the layman's terms, for smart, for dumb people like me. For smart, dumb people like me. All right. And then usage rules. The player regains up to a maximum of 3 legendary points per round.
Yeah,
The player
I
must
think
be
that's how they
wearing the
do it.
relic of the Hollow Crown to be able to use legendary actions. Stats are here. Okay.
Yeah, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is talking about how normally it's like your reaction, right? So you get it back every time it's your turn.
Uh-huh.
Same thing here. Like you get your legendary points back every time it's your turn. That's that's what I think they're talking about when it says once every round.
Okay, because that's where I was just like, because if we're spending these legendary points every level to get an action, I'm assuming what this means is just like with with legendary actions with like normal enemies or creatures, you get 3 points to spend per round. Each action will cost a certain number. Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, so that'll all save. So let's look at some of what these actions the players get. All right, so 1 point legendary actions. These are available at level 10. Okay, so we have quite a bit. My first hesitation, just because that's a lot for to look through. So as a player, it's like, wow, that's. I'd rather this be almost like a roll table because I'm just like, man, that's there'd be a lot to remember that I have access to, and it's one of those things where I feel like I would be challenged that if I have a chance to do this, I'd want to read every single one every time to make sure I'm picking the right one. So I do feel a little bit overwhelmed seeing such a large list.
I will say the only point I would have is it's, to me it's reminiscent of selecting a feat, and like when I look at the feats list, it is fairly intimidating, especially because some of them have prerequisites and not all of them, you even qualify for, and you still have to go check them out to see what you want. But it is only once per level.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm gonna have to do that on a regular basis throughout, the usage of these things. It is just when I
No,
need to.
but I guess what I mean is like, at level 10, I'm going to get to choose between all of these and I'll get up to like 3 of them. But then at level 14, it's not just these, it's now all of these. And then it's
Yes,
all of
yes,
these 15, 16, 17, and then
yes.
18. It's all so it's overwhelming to try to remember that I have to read through all of this every time I
Yes.
level up to make
Well, so to
sure
be fair,
I'm
we were
getting what's
just
perfect for
relating
my
these to
build.
spells. And if we look at the spell list, like the first level spell list is way larger than this, right? And so, like, say if you're a sorcerer who like literally just gets a new spell every level,
Mm-hmm.
you're basically to a certain extent doing the same thing. You have to run through and see, hey, what's the new spell that I want to add to my spell list? Okay.
Yeah. And no, and I get you, Foxer. It's you want to make sure it's going to fit your build, so you want to make sure there's enough options. It's just again that first initial reaction of as you level up, every
Ooh, that's a
level,
lot.
here's your list, and I'm just like, woof, that's a lot to keep track of what is really my build and what's going to be the best thing moving forward. Like every level, it doesn't, again, it doesn't happen frequently. It just feels like again, there's a lot to consider, especially for like again a min maxer. But I don't min max, so that feels daunting to me. I'm sure there's tons of people out there that are just like salivating with like, yes, let's get to it. Let me know what these do.
Yeah.
So again, different mindsets, different play style. All right, so let's look at some of these 1.1s. These are the ones that you're going to get starting at 10th level all the way up till through 13th, only costing 1 point essentially. All right, so Arcane Sensor, you learn the total HP of a creature you can see, not their current HP, but the total max HP. I kind of dig
That's
that.
helpful.
I like knowing what their max could be, but not see. This is one of those like old school in-game meta options that I'm always down for. Like this is something that I kind of like in like JRPGs. It was something that I really liked in Final Fantasy VII, where you would have to use a spell to understand what you're fighting against. And I like that kind of
Mhm.
tactileness. I like having an ability or ability check or a spell or something like this that gives you data that isn't necessarily keen for your character but is in a sense a judge of how how beefy this thing is, but it's also great for the player, right? It's just one of those, it rides that perfect line of metadata that I like when it's implemented like this because I
This
can see it both ways.
this very much reminds me of a there is a subclass of monk that is called the Cobalt Soul, and they're basically like these expositors, investigator type things, and they have an ability where they can extract aspects, and based upon like hitting certain like nerve clusters in whatever creature, they can determine information about them. One of the things they can determine is like everything that they're resistant to, any conditions they're immune to, like just like kind of like you're talking about like meta information, but information that's very valuable for them, like if I'm gonna be in combat with you type deal. So
And
I definitely appreciate those types of elements.
also knowing the bosses, this would be
Mm,
great because knowing that some of those
no,
duos, knowing which one has the least health in total is knowing which one you should go after. Like this has a
gotcha.
lot of, because I'm just, I happened to peek at the next one already, and I'm already like, wow, I'd use the second one way more than the first one. But knowing the bosses that are coming up, that arcane sensor could actually be the deciding factor of if you're going to win that battle, knowing which one to target. So there's a lot of really good understanding. Again, if this is being fed to me as a, as a custom like one shot series, that
Right.
is perfect because it's not just a cool ability, it's ability that directly ties into what you'll face. uh,
Absolutely.
speak
Absolutely.
Speaking of the second one, step through the shadows, teleport up to 15 feet to an unoccupied space you can see, and it scales at 5 feet every level up over 10, 70 feet at level 20. This is great. This is just a basically reactionary step of the wind that scales. I'm cool with it. I love it. Um, I'm surprised, but I'm assuming that because it's a well, I guess no, teleport doesn't that already doesn't do that. So yeah, so
Teleport is, yeah.
and this is great. Again,
Teleport.
just I think that's great, especially right when you get attacked and you can just boom, just be gone. Great.
11 over 10. That's crazy. See, I thought scaling meant like you had to use more of your legendary points um to get it to be to increase. So like, hey, I could spend 2 points instead of 1 point on this later when I get 2 points
No, it
available
just
to
it
me.
scales with your level. I
Interesting.
love that. I love that. Divine Glimmer, shed bright light in 20 feet and grant one ally within range and advantage on their next saving throw. Not bad. The saving throw is dope. The bright light, there were a couple like situations where that could be beneficial. I do like the saving throw, just a general aura of saving throw, but not my favorite so far. The other two definitely feel
I
more
would
more
say
impactful.
give give me a chance to blind them with this bright light, and
Ooh.
it feels a little better.
Or like the closer they are, yeah, if they were closer, the harder it would be to hit you. Kind of like looking at you.
Mhm.
We got unflinching resolve. You automatically succeed your next Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration. That's a good one for any spellcaster. Period. Just being able to know
Yeah,
something's coming and being like, now as a
yeah.
reaction, I'm gonna get advantage on this so I can maintain concentration. That's
No, so
clutch.
this isn't even advantage. This is just you
Or
succeed.
I'm sorry, not advantage. You
Like,
automatically succeed. Yeah.
but
Like,
like, yeah. And and I love the fact because we talk about it a lot. Oh, I want to use this, but then it never comes into effect. This says on your next one.
oh
The
yeah.
next time you have one, even if it takes a turn or so, you still have this in the bag until it's used, which I like, right? It's never going to be wasted, but it's also like, it's not something you can necessarily stack. At least I'm assuming. So, like, if I had this and, like, say I didn't take damage for 2 rounds, I couldn't then the next round use it again and say I'm good for two, right? Like, unless you can, I would ask Fox or like, because that would be kind of wild if I use this and just happen to not take damage, then I can continue to stack, and then I could have like 5 instances of automatic concentration saved, just automatic wins. Like that would definitely be a min maxy mindset potentially.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And I could see how useful that would be for some of these bosses. Number five, we have yeah, shield pulse recharge of 6. Okay, so we have our first rechargeable one. Gain 15 temp HP, scaling 5 HP every level over 10, 65 at 20. 65 temp HP. It's not bad. I do like that it recharges on a roll of a 6, so that's pretty cool.
Okay.
I like that you
So
can't
does that
basically
mean?
just have permanent temp HP.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Because you know that that's how it would be, right? You know that people would just be like spamming that and having permanent HP all the time.
Yes, it doesn't like the HP doesn't stack on top of each other, but every turn being able to just have a padded 65. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
because I mean,
yeah.
think about how many times that people wouldn't do that much damage to you, and then you would just reset it back up to 65, and you're just like,
Mhm.
it's like that's like basically saying like I have a level 8 character shield in front of me.
Yes. That I could just bring a new one in front of me every single time. That's wild.
That would be a really messed up like concept for like an evil wizard is they cast shield, but it's not actually the shield, the magic shield.
They
They
don't
say
cast shield, they
I
cast
like they what they
peasant.
say is that they can cast shield that gives them some amount of temp HP, but really it's just summoning a minion in front of them that just takes the damage.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious. Oh, I
And then the
love
worst part is for that evil, you have to make them admit that their most effective shields are their weakest. And just leave the players to figure out what that means. Because if the whole point is if they're summoning their minions to be their temp HP and their shield, but when they say their most effective ones are their weakest shield, what do you think that like that's kind of a mind fuck to give your players?
God bless.
Yes,
God
like Princess
bless.
Peach using Toad, exactly. Oh,
Oh, wow.
uh, making evil characters is so fun. But moving on, we have a quick sip. You can drink your next potion as a reaction.
Oh, snap.
Okay. So basically, you use your reaction to drink a potion instead of a bonus action.
So here's the action economy we're saying. It is I have to use a legendary action to give myself the ability to do this, and then I have to use my reaction to actually drink the potion. And
Yeah,
all that basically to say I can drink a potion not on my turn,
true.
which is very potentially valuable depending on what it is, right?
Hmm.
Like imagine you had a potion that put you under the effects of the blink spell. I'd be very curious if you would immediately disappear because it's supposedly at the end of your turn, and if it's not your turn, you should be theoretically, at the very least, given the opportunity to roll for whether you
I
disappear.
would say at least, if anything, at the end of the turn that you use the reaction on,
That
right? Like at the
triggered
end
it.
of
Okay.
this turn. Because at
Right,
least
right,
that
right.
way it's still in the same initiative, but it has to be triggered by some sort of passage of time.
Mm-hmm.
And you are triggering it
Okay.
on someone else's turn, so you kind of are sharing a turn, which that's how I would judge that. So yeah, it's interesting. I again, my first reaction without trying to balance or change it, I'm not exactly sure if I would use that one yet. So that one and number three are quite, or yeah, that one and number three, not quite my favorites just yet.
Sure.
Phase step, you can move through solid objects until the end of your turn. Love it. I love it.
Nice.
I wonder, again, I'm not going to say that it should have this language, but I want to know as a player question to DM Foxer, does that mean I can move through enemies? Like, can I actually move through an occupied space and consider enemies solid objects?
The way I read this, I would say yes. I would say
Because
absolutely.
I would assume that that would also mean that if I do that, that negates attack of opportunity.
I would also say yeah. I would 100% say. Now the question is, like, are you like
Like
going
ghosts.
intangible? Like go
It's like
okay,
a
so
ghost.
you're
So
just
just think of like a ghost. You just go
invisible.
incorporeal and then you just phase
Okay.
through it. Now I
And
would so again, my player senses, Foxer, would you allow the justification? Because again, I'm thinking from the player's point of view, from the NPC's point of view. I'm engaging combat. Could I theoretically, with you as the DM, use this? Like, let's say there is an enemy and we know that they have very strong reaction, right? Like their reaction's actually a really strong one. So to help burn action economy, could I use this in such a way, thematically and in roleplay during combat, to instigate an attack of opportunity, knowing full well it can't hit me? But does the enemy know that the first or second time I use it? Right? Because I'm thinking they don't know. So if I step into their combat zone and try to step past them, their instinct is going to be to do that attack of opportunity. They don't know I'm shifting through solid matter, at least not the first time, right? Maybe that. So I'm just wondering, because this is the stuff that I like to do as a DM, right? This is the stuff that I encourage out of my
So
players, is to think outside the
this
box.
is where I'm curious if like how again how something occurs. Because if there is at all a visual aspect to this, like again, because this is a legendary action and not a reaction, technically it happens at the end of another creature's turn. It can be at the end of one of your allies' turns, it could be at one of your enemies' turns, it could be at the end of another creature's turn is when you activate it. So if I'm going to activate this one specifically, I would have to activate it at the end of somebody's turn. And so at that point in time, am I physically changing? Am I becoming translucent? Am I
Mhm.
looking in a such a way that is apparent what's going on? Because
And you say
I
that, but I also think like that's why it's always the first one should be doable, because even if it's noticeable, the instinct would still be to swing, even if something's translucent. They could be trying to teleport, right? Like I still
that's
feel
fair.
like that's why I say in cinematic and role play only, would I as a player be able to say, hey, this thing has a reaction to counter spell our wizard. Our barbarian's about to swing on him. I want to, on the barbarian's turn, do this thing where I pop behind him, instigating an attack of opportunity at the right moment, that when he uses it, he no longer has this reaction, so the wizard can then do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to think, like, is there a way that it would be allowed in order to stack
So according
that
to
benefit?
Foster, this wouldn't even affect attacks of opportunity because it only affects their movement and not combat. So it's not like a sword's going to go through you, but if I am trying to
Interesting.
move through a solid object, a creature, whatever, like I can move through them as though they're not there.
Okay, that would okay. So that
Now,
changes it quite a bit from a combat to a complete utility, which isn't a bad thing. But as a player, that definitely changes my approach to how I would know how to
I'm
use this.
interested if the verbiage that most spells and abilities have applies here because say you have some ability that allows you to move as a reaction. If I activate this at the end of somebody's turn and then for whatever reason I'm able to move as a reaction, the verbiage that normally is included is you cannot end your movement in another creature's or in a solid object space, or else you'll get ejected and take a certain amount of force damage, blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
So if that's the case, like I'm curious if for whatever it's because it's still the end of your next turn, because I can theoretically end that movement before my turn even starts.
Yeah,
So um
I'm assuming
I'm
so. Just because it says and you can move in solid objects until your turn, so I'm assuming that it has that implication that you can't end
okay.
your turn in there, and if you do, um, that's where you're going to have like probably the same exact issue. You're probably just going to be shoved to the nearest space. I am curious about the
Understood.
damage though. I would assume that there is that same damage, but I am curious if Foxer says that. Take it easy, Lipa. Thanks for showing up. All
No
right,
problem.
so we also have Steady Heart and the frightened or charmed condition on yourself. We know that that would be huge, especially for some of those bosses. I think that
Oh
would be
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that one. Um, Battle Insight, grant an ally within 30 feet a +2 bonus to their next attack roll. That's that's gorgeous. I love that. So if you try to end your turn inside a wall, you're not gonna break the wall. You're gonna suffocate. So it's even Foxers has it even worse. You don't just get ejected; you just die.
You stay there a while, so it's like Kitty Pryde. God bless.
Um,
Um, okay, real quick with that battle insight, because everybody in the party has access to these things. If everybody in the party takes battle insight and everybody gives it to the same person, does this stack?
oh, that's a good question. Also, next question, or I'm curious. Again, not to insist that it should, but Foxer, did you consider having this scale as well? Oh, that's why it needs a unique item to use. Gotcha. Okay.
What's why it needs a
Um,
unique item?
okay, all of these need a unique item in order to activate these.
for each different one they need you one, or just
No, just it's one item. As long as you're in possession of the item, you can use these.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so I guess that is that why you're talking about like for the stacking? Because if you don't have the item, that you can't stack all of these. Like everyone can have the same ability, but if you're not using the item, then you can't all stack them. Only one of the party can use legendary actions because it's only one of them that has the item. Yeah. So all of these items, everyone can have them, but it's only when you're holding the item, you can use them. So that's the caveat.
Oh, that's wild. So you have to choose who in each battle is going to get to use the legendary actions.
It's like car keys, yeah.
That's
But you can just. I'm assuming if it doesn't take attunement, you can just toss it to each other. Like the last action is you can toss it to your buddy, they grab it, and then they have it for the next round.
I guess theoretically you can swap between.
But yeah, that's cool. I like that. All right, so Mystic Step. Next round, you take the disengage action for free and move up to double your speed. So you basically get a free disengage dash.
Cool.
That's dope.
Cool.
You cannot pass it between people in combat. That seems it does require attunement and pretty much locks when going into battle to prevent that. Damn. Okay, so I honestly I thought this was gonna be everybody gets this at all times. The fact that this is locked behind an item, that's rough. I'll tell you that much. That's rough.
It definitely requires that what do you call it? Strategy that they were talking about.
Oh, you know what it does do though? It gives me inspiration. Now I want to make an attunement item, right? That's almost like this powerful. But I also want it to break apart and become like 2 or 3 different attuned items that are like slightly less powerful. So if you wear all the pieces, you have access to all 3 levels. But if you only have 2 of the pieces, you only have access to the 2nd level. And if you only have 1 piece, you only have access to 1st level. That could be a cool, that could just be a cool, attuned item.
Imagine there was an item that was so powerful it needed to be attuned to by multiple people.
Oh yeah, you could do that too.
Minimum of 3 people to attune to this item. You all have access to what it can do as long as you're within a certain distance of each other. But that would be very interesting. Anyways,
do you have information on the item?
I don't think I do. Foxer, was that included in any of the? I was looking at the drive you sent me earlier. That's not it.
All right, so yeah, I don't have anything on the item on my side.
I don't even. Unless it's called the Hollow Crown. Is that what it is?
Let's see. Flare of Vigor. Yeah, the crown, it looks like.
Okay. I'll see if I can't put it together for you real quick.
I mean, how big is it? Is it an easy read? They were just saying, I guess that helps that'll help us understand how the abilities work, I guess. I mean, I figure you just, I figure we had it was you tune to it and then you're the one that's able to use the abilities.
It looks like a page and a half.
I mean, we already have 2 pages here plus all of this, so it depends on how much it adds to our understanding.
I'll see
if that's its own item.
A general idea while we continue with this, and maybe I'll just give you an overview when we get to that point.
Okay, yeah. Just make sure that we grab everything from that we'll need to better understand this.
Gotcha.
Let's see. So, starting at Flame of Vigor. So this will last for a minute. You get to heal 25 HP to self, and it scales, or once per minute. Sorry, you can do this once per minute. You can heal 25 HP to self, and it adds 10 HP every level above 10. So it will max out at 125 HP at level 20. You can do that once per minute. So it's not too
once
bad.
per minute. I was like, why would you ever use the temporary hit points one when you can just literally heal yourself? But it's
Yeah,
because
because you
it's
only
such
get
a
the once per minute. So that's not too
okay.
bad. Like I do like how it scales.
145.
Starts out,
God bless.
I mean, it starts out pretty small, but I mean, I do like the 125 once it's done. Um,
Yeah.
it's fascinating that it's only to self though, and not to others. I wonder how much more versatile that would have made it.
Hmm.
Let's see. Threatening
Uh,
glare. Force one creature within 10 feet to make a wisdom saving throw or have disadvantage on its next attack. Oh, yes, yeah. So make a wisdom save or have disadvantage on its next attack. Interesting. And it scales 3 feet every level over 10. So it has a max of 40 feet at level 20. Interesting that it
but it's still
adds
only one
plus three
creature.
feet. Most things that's a very unique scaling because
Yeah.
most things don't track at 3 feet increments. So I'm surprised it hits
Yeah.
at 5 feet.
I'm assuming they're just trying to limit it to getting too crazy when its max is out at level 20. But I'm curious, like, what's the purpose of increasing the range if it's still only one creature, right?
I
Like,
think it's just well, I guess it's like a defensive thing to like help an ally not get attacked, and that's why yeah, I'm really surprised that it's not just 5 feet every round just to like make sure that you can protect an ally.
hmm,
It's only one of their attacks too. I don't think that's too bad.
yeah.
Uh, Magic rebound, you gain resistance to the next spell damage you take before the end of your next turn. Uh, Scaling becomes immunity at level 15 and becomes siphon at level 20, so you actually get healed by it. So resistance, immunity, or you get healed by the next spell damage. So essentially, the next spell that damages you. Let's see. So one of the effects of the crown that we should know about is to nullify outside healing. So while wearing the crown, you can't be healed by others. So the temp HP and the flare of vigor
Oh,
would be extremely important. Knowing that while you have the crown, you
interesting.
can't be healed by outside methods. That's good to know.
That is definitely good to know. And real quick question on that note. I'm reading something in the Crown's details that seems either contradictory or I misunderstood something earlier. It says your total pool of legendary action points equals your character's level. So a moment ago, when we were first talking about these, when we were reading the original document, it said legendary action point one, legendary action point two, legendary action point three.
That's how many it costs just
Now,
to get to use them.
no, but I mean, not on this page, but on the very first page, like at those different levels, at level 10, level 14, and level 18 or something like that. I don't remember what it was. Um, it says that's how many points you had access to. So so the idea was at level 18, you'll have access to 3 legendary points, period. But this is saying you have a pool equal to your character's level. Now,
So wait, so where are you saying that there's a pool? Like, because yeah, there. I always assumed that there was a pool. So what were you saying that there's a cap? Because it's saying that at
okay,
10th level, all of the ability points cost one. At 14th, you can now access the ones that cost two. At level 18, you can access the one that costs three. So I'm assuming
right.
that means that they're not infinite. You can only cast up to however many points you have per your level. So at level 20, you can only you can only use these up till you've spent 20 points.
So what I'm saying is for regular creatures, every single one of them has access. Well, not every single one of them, but like for the most part, whenever you have legendary actions, you have a pool of 3 legendary action points to choose from every single turn.
Hmm.
And if that's and that 3 points they reset every single round. And so like every time it's my turn, I get all 3 of those points back. Just like every single turn I get my reaction back and I get my action back and stuff like that. So that's why there's only 3. But with what this is saying is it sounds like I have 20 to choose from, or however many my level is. And instead of them refreshing every turn, I just have a pool of them like my spell slots that return that what do you call
So
it?
Yes, but there's the caveat. So yes, every combat you start with 20 points, and at the end of
Every
every,
combat?
well, just so you start combat with 20 points. Like let's say you're at
Okay.
level 20, so you start with
Mhm.
20 points. Every time you use one of these legendary abilities, you buy it with however many points it costs. So let's say you've used
Sure.
you use half of them, so now you have only 10 points left. Now, granted, let's say there's going to be 5 people in combat. So in the first round, I go, like let's say it's my first round, I go. Then there's 4 other people that are going to go, so I use abilities on each at the end of each of their turns, right?
Mhm.
So I've now burnt all of those points. Let's say that's how I burnt 10. Is I used a reaction at the end of each of their turns. Once my turn
Right,
comes
turn
back,
5, right?
yeah. But once my turn comes back, I get only a max of 3 of those points back. So if I had 20 and I burnt 10, I only get 3 back. So now I start the next round with only 13.
So I will say the next line in the crown, it says, "This pool does not recover during battle and recharges only after a long rest."
So Foxer
So,
says you can only spend up to 3 per round, and when it recharges, you take it from your. Oh, interesting. Okay,
oh,
so you still get to only use 3 points per round, but every time you do that, it takes it from your total available, and that only resets once per long rest.
got it, got it, got it, got it,
Yeah.
got
See,
it.
I
Okay,
assumed it was everybody's turn. You could just spam it if you wanted to,
that's an
but that's why
interesting
you
way
have the
to do it.
pool.
That's an interesting way to do it, but okay. I mean, it still works basically the same way it works for creatures, except you don't get to do it into infinity and beyond. You only have a certain number of them you can use
Yeah.
before you have to
Yeah.
take a
So
long rest
you can use a maximum of 3, but they always
per
will
round.
diminish your pool. Yeah, until the long
Yeah. Okay.
rest.
Okay. Interesting. 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 Very nice.
Let's see. So we got the magic rebound was pretty good. Arcane Reservoir, roll a d6, regain a spell slot of the resulting number. Scaling a d8 at level 15, a d1, 1d10 minus 1 at level 20. 1 and zeros are treated equally. I don't. Oh, because the d10, 1 and zeros are treated equally for d10. Okay. So
Mm.
interesting. So regain a leveled spell slot of a rolled number. Now, Foxer, does that mean that, like, let's say I have, because it says like you regain a spell slot of the resulting number. So it's not how many you get, that's the spell level. So let's say, oh yeah, I guess that doesn't really matter. Like you can just keep stacking them. So yeah, okay,
Mm.
I don't mind that. That's kind of interesting. That's a very unique mechanic for it.
Yeah.
Lesser counter, attempt to interrupt a spell of 1st to 4th level as it is cast. Use a reaction. Arcana check DC 12 plus the spell level.
It's a, it's a roll no matter what. DC 12 plus the spell's level.
Yeah.
That means a first level spell I got to get at least a 13.
That's why it's a lesser counter spell. It's not quite a counter spell, but it's just lesser counter spell.
This is pretty high level. I can start doing this at level 10.
I
If
kind of dig
if
it.
this is something I'm choosing and it's Arcana, Intelligence base, yeah, okay, okay,
I dig it. I'm cool with it.
okay.
Vital push, an ally within 60 feet may move 10 feet as a reaction. And then for scaling, 10 feet every level over 10, up to 110 feet per level,
Oh,
or at level 20.
110 feet is a reaction. God bless.
Ghost Flicker, become lightly obscured until the start of your next turn. So I'm assuming that means attacks against you are at disadvantage. I'm assuming that's what being obscured would do.
Not exactly. What is the exact definition of light here?
Or like maybe you can move without attack of opportunity. I don't know. I don't know what obscured would actually
So I
equate to
think
in this.
being obscured. Okay, disadvantage on perception checks. So somebody has disadvantage on perception checks to see you.
Gotcha.
That rely on sight.
Okay.
And so, like, if you're trying to hide, it makes hiding easier. And certain abilities in fifth edition specifically say you need to be lightly obscured in order to proc them, in order for them to be usable. And
Gotcha.
Shadow Step is one of them.
Perfect. Okay, so that just helps you proc your other stuff. All right, and we got Commanding Presence. One ally within 30 feet can re-roll a failed saving throw, scaling plus 3 feet every level over 10, so a maximum of 60 at level 20. Again, the 3 feet's a little bit strange, but I totally get it. Being able to
Sure.
have people re-roll a failed saving throw is actually really great for a support character. Mind Spike. Ooh, getting into psionics here. Target one creature within 60 feet, DC 13 intelligence save, or wait, target one creature. Oh, they take a DC 13 intelligence save, or they'll take 2d6 psychic damage, scaling 1 DC every level over 10, plus 1 die every other level. So DC 23, 7d6 at level 20. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Always love me a good psionic attack.
Sure.
Elemental Touch. We imbue your next weapon attack with an extra 1d6 elemental damage, scaling 1 die every other level, so 6d6 at level 20. I like that kind of scaling.
I'm assuming you just get to choose the element.
Yeah, you get to choose the type of damage at time of attack.
Sure.
That would be super beneficial to a lot of the bosses that we saw, being able to change up the ability.
And so, slightly on that note, I'm reading in the Crown, one of the abilities is you lose all resistances and immunities to damage types, conditions, or effects, whether natural or magical. This includes racial traits, class features, and magical protections. So, no matter what you have gotten throughout your leveling up, you no longer have any resistance or immunities to damages or effects.
Ah,
That's crazy.
ew. That's rough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at level 14, we unlock the 2-point cost abilities. All right. So we have a major counterspell, attempt to counter a spell of 1st to 7th level, reaction, Arcana DC 8 plus your spell level for the check.
That's massive difference. Last time was 12. This time it's 8. That's 4 points of difference. Okay. Wow.
I almost think it would be the other way around, right? You think it would have gotten harder for the higher spells, not easier.
Well, it's major counter spells costing you 2 points, so you're adding more
Yeah.
power into it.
And it is 1st through 7th. It's not like, I almost wonder if it would have been like 1st through 3rd and then 4th through 7th. That would have been interesting. But I get that. Yeah. All right. So Force Barrier. You or an ally gains 30 temporary HP until the end of the next round. Okay. I kind of like that. That's actually not too bad.
Okay.
Reflect a barrier until the start of your next turn. The first spell targeting you reflects back to the caster if they fail a DC 15 spell casting modifier save. Scales 1 DC every level over 14. Max of 21 at level 20. I like that one. I like that way better than any of the counter spells.
Yeah. That's way cool.
That's dope. Warden Circle, create a 10-foot radius area. Allies inside have an advantage on saving throws until the start of your next turn. Plus 3 every level over 14 for a max of 28 feet at level 20.
Advantage on saving throws for until the start of your next turn. That's kind of cool.
Elemental Burst, 20-foot radius, 6d8 elemental damage, fire, cold, lightning, or acid. Dex save, scale plus 1 die every level over 14 for a maximum of 12d8 at level 20. That's pretty good. 68 with 1 die after level 14. That's pretty good. I like that.
Okay.
Unravel Fate, re-roll a failed save. If you succeed, the attacker takes D4 or 4d10 psychic damage. Plus 1 die every other level over 14, 7d10 at level 20.
That's a lot of damage.
Is this additional or is this replacing?
Which one?
Boxer. Well, because it says re-roll a failed save. If you succeed, the attacker takes 4d10 psychic damage. Is that additional to, or, well, oh no, it says a failed save. So not, okay, not a failed, not like a failed roll, but a failed save. So this is a saving throw against something specifically targeting you. Is when this would trigger.
So yeah, the somebody casts fireball, and I have to make a dexterity saving throw. I succeed on my dexterity saving throw after having previously failed, once I make that success, the person that casts the fireball takes 4d10 psychic damage. That's the way.
Gotcha. Okay, so those are the situations. So it has to be something attacking you that requires a save. Saving it then
Yes.
reflects the psychic damage. Okay. Yeah, I read that and I did not comprehend it properly the first time.
No, it was yeah. No, I feel that.
Temporal glitch. Choose a creature you can see cannot take reactions and moves at half speed until the end of its next turn. That's devastating for a lot of these bosses. That one right there might be the top tier
Okay.
one.
Okay, so would you as a DM count legendary actions as reaction? Or are they fully separate?
I don't know. I don't know how 5th edition decides those. I think they are not because they have different names.
I think they are not as well.
And they have
Me
different
personally-
counterpoints because reactions are to an act, or reactions react to a reaction or to an action. Legendary
something else,
actions
yeah.
react to an end of a turn, or
Yes.
end of a turn. So that's, I don't think they're the same because they trigger differently.
Yeah.
Healing Echo, an ally within 60 feet regains 4d12 HP plus 1 die every other level over 14 for a max of 7d12 at level 20.
Wow.
That's good. I like that.
All right.
I really
Okay.
like that. Restore
Now,
Vitality. Oh, what's up?
It says heal an ally. Do you think that, again, they could use that to heal themselves? Like
No,
you're your
this
own
one, all so far, Foxer's been very specific on the verbiage whether or not you can heal self and an ally or just an ally. So I'm going to assume that if it does not say self, it does not apply.
I would say having more stuff that could be able to heal yourself, especially because you can't get it from other sources, would be really valuable. But okay,
We'll probably see it. I'll bet you there's another one in here. Restore Vitality. End one condition on yourself or an ally. Blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned. That's pretty good.
sure.
Illusionary Double. Create an illusionary duplicate. The next attack against you has disadvantage. That's there's a spell that's similar to that.
Yep. Yeah,
Like Mirror Image,
mirror
right?
image and blur. Yep.
Bolstering Aura. Allies within 20 feet gain a +3 AC until the end of your next turn. Scaling +1 AC every other level after 14 for a max of +6.
Nice.
That's huge.
Nice. +6 AC at level 20.
Energy Sink. Gain a level of resistance to one damage type of your choice until your next turn. Special can be used during an enemy's attack against you.
So this one can specifically be used as a reaction in that scenario. Otherwise, it happens at the end of a creature's turn.
Yeah, that's cool though. I like the distinction. And I like the resistance, you know what I mean? It's only half damage, but it's still good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
All right, we have Crushing Words. Force a creature within 60 feet to make a charisma save or suffer a d4 to all rolls for 1 round. Scaling. Upgrades to the next die every other level over 14. So it gets to a d10 at level 20. So they suffer a negative amount to every roll for a straight round. Okay. Yeah, I could see how that could turn the tide on some of the bosses.
So how would you read this round? Is it from the moment you cast it back to that same moment? Or is it just until this particular round ends?
Well, it says for 1 round. So yeah, see, and that's the thing is I don't know until the round's over or until the start of their next turn. It's usually better when you say that because is it the total time of a round or is it for the remaining of this round? So yeah, I would have to defer to Foxer to understand. Is that meant to be until the same initiative or is that until the end of the current initiative phases?
Right.
Because that does change a lot. That absolutely changes a lot. It would be worse though, because if it is based on the amount of time, specifically, then you could make the argument that it technically doesn't end till the end of their next turn because you did this at the end of their turn. You know what I mean? Like you could say that it like follows it. So it's till the start of the next time that enemy gets their turn. So it's till the start of their next turn.
Still the start of the enemy's next turn.
Yeah. So that does mean that everybody should get a chance at them.
Well, if I cast it right before the enemy's turn, then
it would go to
goes away
the
almost
next turn.
immediately.
Yeah. That's pretty good, though. I like that.
Okay.
Negative D4 to all their turn. Yeah, that's crazy. They roll crappy, too. Just negative 4s every roll. All right, so Mystic Reflection. What's up?
I just up to a total of a D10. That's
Get out of here. You ain't hitting shit. All right, Mystic Reflection. Gain a level of resistance to your choice of a single damage type for 1 minute. Cannot stack with itself. Okay, that's actually going to be pretty good for a lot of these bosses.
When it says it can't stack, meaning I can't make 1 minute, 2 minute, or meaning I can't make.
I don't think you can have more than one active at a time. So if you do cold, you can't have cold and then fire the next round for a minute.
Got it.
It's once you cast it, I think it replaces itself.
Got you.
Let's see. Mystic Recharge. Regain a second level spell slot or recharge a class feature that recharges on a short rest. Scaling a +1 spell level every level over 14. Maxing out at a level 8 or level 20. That one seems less beneficial than the one that we saw before that resets your spells, but because there's one that lets you roll. So yeah. This one's specific to a second level spell slot. So I guess that really depends on your build. You would know specifically if this is what you want.
I'm curious how that would work if you're a warlock or something like that. Would you get anything back if you were?
Oh,
you could
cast that's a good point. Because you're always casting at max level.
Level spells. Yeah.
Okay. It's a good point. Yeah, Fuxer, what would you do for a warlock? Let us know on that one. Unbreakable Force. Gain advantage on all concentration checks for 1 minute. That's huge.
That would be very dope.
Temporal. Oh, and then after that, even if you fail with the advantage, you still have the other one that guarantees you win.
Oh, yeah. You could tag team that. Absolutely.
Temporal Blink. You teleport 60 feet to a space you occupied in the last minute. That one's going to be a little bit harder to track, but understandable. Yeah. Plus 15 feet for every level over 15 to a max of 150 at level 20. So yeah, a little bit harder to map, but I totally get the idea. Like, totally understand.
Yeah.
Frostbind. A creature within 30 feet must succeed a strength saving throw or become restrained in ice for 3 turns. Scaling 1 turn every other level over 14. Maxes out at 6 turns at level 20.
Ooh.
Restrained for 6 turns. Damn.
Bro,
that
no save. That's not
that alone.
If you fail your first save, you're just restrained.
That alone could take down half the bosses. Like that alone could give you the advantage with half the boss fights. With no save, just straight out restrain them.
Speed becomes 0. You can't benefit from any bonus to your speed. Disadvantage on attack rolls. Attack rolls against you have advantage. Okay, so if your speed becomes 0, could you teleport out of that? Would you say they could if a boss could teleport?
Yeah, teleport I don't believe uses movement. Teleport would be the only option, but it doesn't help them because they're still, well, I guess once they're out of your 30 foot, then they would stop. But a creature within 30 feet, so even if they teleported, they'd still have the effect for 3 turns.
That's actually one of my questions. Yeah, it's the effect.
I would say they still have it because it's not like the permafrost situation.
Yes, that's what I was just about to ask. Yes.
Unless this is supposed to be permafrost, and then yes, we know that teleport would remove that. So, all right, Commander's Rally. 1 ally can immediately move and make 1 weapon attack. That's not bad. That's actually pretty cool. And then we have Twin Cast. You cast a spell on your turn. You may cast another spell of level 2 or lower as a bonus action by expanding the respective spell slot. Scaling +1 spell level every level over 14 up to a level 8 spell as a bonus action. That's cool.
Get you some, bro. Get you some.
I'm actually pretty cool.
That's wild.
The crown makes you pretty much neutral to everything and prevents you from healing. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I this is very interesting. I love the concept. I'm gonna make a jump of or a leap here. We haven't gotten to the level threes just yet. While this sounds cool, and I would want to play the campaign with this in it, I do not want to be the one with it. It
I
is
don't want to
not
work that.
enticing for my gaming style to consider using this. I'm gonna go. I have to step away real quick. But yeah, that twin cast is something. That's something else.
So I hear what Vortex is saying because anytime I'm thinking about like what I want to do now, I think a large part for me is I'm less in it for the min-maxing mindset, and I'm much more in it for synergy, right? I don't care if it does the most damage. I care if what it does works well with each other, right? Like the idea of spike growth and Eldritch Blast pushing and pulling somebody all the way around and through the spike growth. Like I love that idea, that combo, right? That to me is synergy. It doesn't necessarily have to do more damage than somebody smiting somebody, right? But if you're trying to run this and you're specifically trying to like grind for the most damage, I think that there's a world that you can sacrifice some of these things and optimize what you're doing. But kind of like Vortex is saying, like, how fun is it going to be for me to play the character that has to deal with a lot of these detriments? Yes, I do get to do a lot of these cool things, but so as a wizard, if I get something that um, drops my HP, I'm not going to be super worried about it because my HP is already super low. It's not an area where I'm strong, right? But as a, a fighter, you know, that's or not a fighter, but like a barbarian or something like that. Like that's going to be a large part of what makes me valuable is my tanking, how well that I can stand up to and be able to take hits. So if my ability to take hits is being depleted, that hurts me in an important place, right? So if I like lose a bunch of constitution points, like that's gonna hurt me in a place that matters a lot. So the question becomes whoever ends up wearing this are the things that are going to ultimately be of detriment to them. Are they going to hit them where it hurts? And Vortex, the way he plays, like this is probably going to hit him where it would hurt, and so it's probably not going to be something that they would be super into. For me, overall, I feel like I could find a play style that would would work well enough where I'd be willing to be the person with it, but it would I probably have to be really intentional about it, and I'd probably have to, have that in mind from the jump, right? So, but I love what we're getting to see here and how we're getting to actually interact with legendary actions. I love some of these legendary actions. Uh, I would love after we get through these, I would love to see what prompted you to attach these legendary actions to an item, to a crown, and give it some of the detriments that you did. I'm very uh, uh, curious why you went that route. I think it's very cool. I think it's a really cool way
Yeah, I was not expecting it to be tied to an item. I thought this was going to be for everybody. So once I
yeah.
realized it was only for one player, like that definitely shot my excitement down. Because knowing how difficult like everything was supposed to be scaled, this felt right in line for everybody to have. I just didn't.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm trying to understand like how it's supposed to be weaved, which is why I think this would be dope. Like the series of abilities so far that we've seen would be amazing. And it'd be a great add-on for almost any party. However, I don't want to be the one responsible for it because it feels like while there's a lot of tactical aspects to using this, it for me appears as if it is not, I don't want to say taking away from the character that I built, but it is forcing me into a role that was not specific necessarily to the character I built. Like there's definitely things here that accentuate a build, but this does, I don't want to say shoehorns, but it does feel like it's very narrow in terms of who should hold it. And the type of gameplay I feel like this is very battlefield minded, where you want to just be aware of everything that's going on and have the opportunity to buff and debuff all of the other things that are happening while still being able to do something on your turn. But it doesn't feel like it is the character coming to that decision, or it is really anything more than um kind of like what you said. It's who wants to take up that mantle, who wants to play this particular additional role, which is being ready and mindful to react to everything that's happening with all of these things that you can do. But you have to build, like you said, you have to build for it, you have to pre-think it. And knowing what we know about the bosses, all of this stuff really like plays well. But without knowing what's coming, a lot of this could easily feel like there's so many things here that I don't know what's going to work. I only know now what's going to work because of the bosses that we've seen. But if I didn't know about the bosses and I got this opportunity, knowing I can only pick one per level. So at best, I pick one at 10th level and then I get 9 more. So I'm only going to get 10 max of these. While all of these are great, it's I don't know. It's just, I guess not necessarily 10 max, but you know what I mean? Like it's just, I'm not sure that I would want to try and go through all of these and build a new play style halfway through the game. And now, granted, that's not necessarily halfway because they probably would have started much later, right? But yeah, it just feels like it is one of those situations, and then also considering that everyone's able to have these, but it's only the person currently actively using the item. And that's also not a gameplay that I feel is standard either, which is this idea that you might be able to pass the item from person to person over the course of the gameplay.
Hmm.
Um, and that's also just something that again is very interesting, but without pre-knowledge of what's coming up, I also feel like that would be hard to implement. So those are my initial like hesitations as I read this is I see all of the great links, but I could also see this going very badly for the person who wants to get excited for this, but just so happens to pick all of the wrong ones. Like all of these are great abilities, but knowing some of the bosses, it could be so easy to make this actually a detriment to the combat, and unintentionally so. So
Right.
initial knee jerks, if it were. If this was active for everybody, not even Magus would last more than 2 turns. That makes sense. I mean, I was expecting this not to be so robust, but just the idea of these abilities, I wasn't expecting to be locked down to one person. I kind of expected everyone to have some sort of legendary actions.
You know what I think would be interesting is, so everybody has legendary actions, but you can't choose the same legendary action as somebody else in your party. And on a turn, you as a team share a pool of 3 legendary points that you can use.
Hmm, interesting.
So that way you're still only getting 3 of them. Everybody has access to them. And so it doesn't feel like the players have so much action economy. Because I could see if you have 5 players and every single one of those players has their action, bonus action, reaction, and 3 legendary actions. That's 6 times that they can act around. That's a lot of action economy.
Oh
I
yeah,
totally get that being a lot.
and that's why I wouldn't. That's why I didn't expect it to be so robust in terms. I was expecting like maybe one legendary action like per turn per combat, or legendary actions that do short rests. Like I was expecting something that wasn't as consistent as like enemy legendary actions. I just expected access with everybody, right? Now,
Right.
Foxer just remind us that there are other things other than these legendary actions. It was just when we first heard about these, that was my initial assumption, is that, oh,
Right.
everybody's becoming like their own uber hero, just like the bosses are. So,
Right.
all right, but we do now have the final list of the 3-point actions, and then we can go back to figure out what else the players were able to do. So at level 18, we get 3-point cost or 3-cost legendary actions. Spell Echo. Cast a spell a 4th level or lower without using a spell slot. +1 level each, or +1 each level over 18. So a max of 6th level spell at level 20.
Okay.
That's I totally get that. Actually, there's a lot of usage for that. We've seen that with warlocks and things of that sort, being able to produce spell slots. So I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's called Spell Echo, it made me immediately assume that it was going to read that you can get a 4th level or lower spell slot of the same spell. I expected it to, because it's an echo, I expected it to have to actually be the same spell you've already cast, not just a spell slot.
Interesting. Yeah.
Final Strike, make a weapon attack. On hit, deal an additional 6d10 damage and knock target prone. Con save avoids the prone. Scaling upgrades dice every level over 18, so a max of 6d20 at level 20.
Wild.
But being able to knock them not being able to knock them prone is so strong. Like, that's such a good ability. Arcane Overload.
There's no save; it just happens. That's
Well, con save avoids the prone, so they can make a Constitution save.
Oh, got you.
Interesting on the con save though. I'm surprised it's a con save. I guess that's, you could like be considered like them getting winded, like getting hit in the chest or something, and they get the wind knocked out of them, so they fall to the ground. But yeah, con save is not the one I would have expected for a fight against prone, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Arcane Overload, the next spell you cast is guaranteed to deal at least its average damage. I wouldn't have minded that being it's guaranteed to cast max, but
max damage. Yeah.
But its average is fine. So you roll, and you you roll, and if it's under average, it still does average. Or again, I don't want to critique it, but it also would have been cool if it adds its average damage. So whatever you roll plus its like average. Legends Roar. All enemies within 60 feet must make a wisdom saving throw or be frightened for 1 round, and this bypasses immunity of frightened. See, that feels good.
Yes. Absolutely.
Mass Heal Pulse. All allies within 60 feet regain 5d10 HP. Scaling upgrades dice every level to a maximum over 18, so a maximum of 5d20 at level 20. That's huge.
Dang.
5d20 healing. That's huge.
That's crazy.
And again, that one's not self. That one's only allies, not self.
That is not self.
Winds of Destiny. All d20 rolls for you and your allies within 30 feet are made with advantage for 1 round. Scaling, plus 20 feet every other level over 18, so a 50-foot radius at level 20.
Not that you could do both of these, but imagine Winds of Destiny, and then right afterwards using Mass Healing Pulse at level 20.
Ooh, just max healing across the board, or with advantage, so just, better chance for max healing.
Instead of 5d20s, it's 10d20s, and half of them just... That's so crazy.
That's insane.
That's so crazy.
All right, so you could. Super Foxer says you could.
How though?
Well, it does say for 1 round. It does say for the whole round, so you could do Winds of Destiny on one person's turn, and then before the round's over, you could turn around and then do Mass Healing Pulse. So yes, you can stack some of these.
Because they both take 3, and you only have 3 per round. So only if it goes at the end of one round to the start of the next round would you actually be able to do this.
Yeah, it would be very specific timing, but it sounds like you can.
That's wild. That's wild.
Blood Moon Barrage. Make 4 weapon attacks against up to 4 targets within 30 feet. Scaling 20 feet per every level over 18, so a max of 70 feet at level 20. 4 weapon attacks up to 4 targets, but that means up to. So that means 4 weapon attacks against 1 and up to 4 targets split any way you want. That's cool. Elemental Storm, 30-foot radius, Elemental Storm, Fire, Lightning, or Cold, Dexterity save, or 8d8 damage plus terrain becomes difficult. Scaling, plus 10 feet every level over 18 for a maximum of 50 feet at level 20.
Good gracious. That's a big old
I
storm.
like that one. That one I like that one a lot. Especially the difficult terrain. That is something that I feel like really needs to be more accessible. Sever reality. Force one creature to make a charisma save or vanish into the demiplane. They are basically banished until the end of its next turn.
Dang.
Love a good banish spell. Love a good banish spell.
That's kind of cool. Yep.
Reshape magic. Convert a failed spell into any other spell of the same level as a reaction. Special. Only use immediately after an effect that nullifies a spell, anti-magic field, or counter spell. Interesting.
Okay, so the only
If someone
reason the spell would fail is because of a counter spell or anti-magic field or something like that.
yes,
so,
a nullifying effect, then you could reshape it.
Gotcha.
And it's a spell level. That's crazy. I would have expected it to decrease the spell level, but the spell of the same level is pretty good.
So I'm assuming you can't choose the same spell again. You have to choose a different spell.
Yeah. But you know what? If you knew that one of the bosses was anti-magic, you could abuse that by casting one spell and then redirecting a heal spell.
Bro,
somewhere else.
Imagine you're trying to cast banishment on one of them. They really don't want you to cast banishment. Because it would like basically mean the end of them, but you change it to like you cast it at such a high level that you basically can change it to disintegrate or power word kill or any of these other things that would be just as detrimental, if not worse. And you bait out their legendary resistance on that one rather than this one.
Right. Or bait them with one of those and then get the banish on them.
Yeah, oh, there you go. There you go.
Like, you didn't want banish, fine. How about power word kill? No, well, fine, banish anyway.
Boy.
Let's see. Number 11, Ascension. Until the end of the next round, you gain flight 60 feet, a level of resistance to all damage, and +2 to all saves. Scaling, +10 flight, and +1 to all saves every level over 18, for a maximum of 80 feet fly, and +4 to all saves at level 20, with a level of resistance to all damage types. And that's until the end of the next round. That's crazy. That's so good.
Dang. 4? Ooh, that's dude, anytime you get like a static plus to something and it's not like a rolled plus, like I'm always here for that. It's guaranteed. It's like your base number is just higher. It's so good. It's so
Good. Do mark a creature. All attacks against it have advantage until the end of your next turn. That's great. I like that one.
All
actually,
your attacks.
It's kind of expensive. I will say that. I feel like that's kind of expensive, but that's fine. True counter spell. Automatically counter a spell of 5th level or lower. +1 level to the automatically countered spell. Counter 7th level or lower at level 20. I mean, wow. I don't mind a good counter spell, especially for paying for it. There's nothing wrong with a good, honest counter spell, especially for some of the bosses that we were up against.
Yeah.
Reality Anchor for 1 minute. You and all allies within 90 feet are immune to force movement and teleportation from enemies. Reality Anchor is such a good one. That's a classic spell.
Now,
I like that. Time and space anchor.
When it says and teleportation from enemies, does that mean enemies do not have the ability to teleport?
Yeah, any force movement. Basically, you can't be banished, you can't be moved, you cannot be forced if you don't want to. So you have to allow
they can. That's my question, is can the enemies teleport, or are we stopping the enemies from teleporting?
No, just you and your allies are immune from being forced to move. So the enemies can do whatever they want for themselves. They just can't force you. They can't banish you. They can't push you, but they can teleport all they want.
Got you. Okay. I kind of think it'd be cool if you added they couldn't teleport, like everyone's anchored to this reality.
Oh,
yeah. You can't teleport either, probably.
It would be interesting that no ally or enemy can be force moved or teleport. That would be a very interesting way to do it. Because there were some bosses that not being able to teleport would fuck them up. So That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Almost done. Meteor crash. Summon a meteor. Dexterity save DC 18 in a 20-foot radius. 7d10 fire plus 7d10 bludgeoning damage. That's it. Just Dex DC 18 for half. Otherwise, 7d10 fire, 7d10 bludgeoning. That feels very much like a video game from that era. I love it. Just pow, meteor strike. Blood sigil. Sacrifice 100 HP. Your next damage dealt is maximum damage. Scaling plus 25% damage every other level over 18. So you get a max of 1.25 damage at level 20. 3 points plus 100 to do max damage. Doesn't excite me. Like max double, maybe. Max double, I would sacrifice 100 hit points for, but I honestly, I wouldn't even mind like sacrifice up to 100 hit points and add that much damage for every hit point. But I don't know. I don't know if I would. That one seems a little bit less. I don't know if I'd sacrifice 100 hit points like that. It just doesn't seem like enough damage. Yeah, others can't heal you. I know. That's what I'm saying. Is I don't know if I would use that ever to sacrifice that much of my own health to deal only max damage. It just it doesn't feel like a worthy enough sacrifice when I can't easily get it back. But if it made me do like double max or up to 100 HP, and for every HP I pump into it, that's how much extra damage I do, like flat, that would be dope.
Flat damage is definitely more alluring.
I mean, if I could, or even double, like even if it's half, so it's like for every 2 HP I sacrifice, I get to do a damage. But I'm not excited to sacrifice 100 HP. Like even with a 1.25 multiplier, I don't know. Like it just doesn't feel like enough. Radiant Barrier. All allies within 30 feet gain 75 temp HP and a level of resistance to necrotic damage for 1 minute. Yeah, that's good. That's great.
That could be super useful. Gain a level of resistance. Does that mean if you already have resistance, you gain immunity?
That's how I read that. Yes.
Okay.
Everybody benefits regardless. That's how I read that. Foxer, let us know if we have that wrong. Mind Surge. Force all enemies within 60 feet to make an intelligence save DC 23 or lose reactions and have a -2 AC for a round. That's amazing. For the bosses, that's awesome. And yes, that was correct. It is 2 immunity if you already have resistance.
Sure.
Chronic Hasten. You can hasten your allies until the end of combat, but for each ally hasten this way, you must take a level of exhaustion. Oh, that's devastating, but
interesting.
I'll have to look into it later. Like, I don't know if haste is worth it anymore, but that is kind of dope. Haste used to be really crazy, but I'm not sure if it's in its current state.
It's kind of nice. Really... You get another action. You get to double your movement speed, and I think you get to increase your AC by 2. But it would depend upon if the exhaustion would hit me right away or at the end of combat.
I got you.
Because like with haste, you get your lethargy or whatever the case may be when the spell is over. So like it'd be interesting to see if you get hit with this
right away
immense exhaustion at the end of combat.
Fighter Foxer says right away.
Right away.
Yeah. So instantaneous.
Because that's
at number 20, Unyielding Force. Cool. Choose. What's up?
Hey, go ahead.
Hi, sir. Knocking everything over. Unyielding Force. Choose a target or self. Okay, so this one can be done on self. For 1 minute, all damage dealt by the target treats the objective's resistance as if it had 1 level less. Immunity becomes resistant becomes neutral becomes vulnerable. Note, only one target can benefit from this at a time. So you choose a target or yourself for 1 minute, and then all damage dealt by the target treats the objective's resistance 1 level less. So yeah, basically, I'm assuming that means you could choose your ally or yourself, because I don't know why you would choose the enemy, but choose an ally or yourself, and for 1 minute, they will ignore all damage immunities.
To reduce all
Or is it,
damage.
yeah, they'll reduce all damage, reduce immunity or resistance. That's kind of crazy
So
strong.
here's the deal. This is one of those things where I feel like you take this and it's always active.
Yeah, the moment, yeah,
Like
this would be the first thing I would
the moment
buy.
combat starts, give it to somebody. Give it to somebody.
And this says you can't
Probably,
change
and
targets.
yeah, nothing says you can't, like, if it stops being valuable or if the person you had it on goes down or something like that, boom, give it to somebody else.
It just says
Right?
not only, it says only one at a time, but that doesn't mean that you can't change. So yeah, that one's huge. That one is definitely a guaranteed one that I think that you would get.
That's definitely a must have. That one's crazy.
Okay. So now we know how to use those. Those are all the options that you can get through level 10 to 20.
Okay.
We know how to use them. So let's find out what else the other players can do. We have critical failure saving rules. Okay. Whenever a player rolls a natural 1 on a saving throw that deals damage, they may choose one of the following options instead of taking damage as normal. Option 1, take the attack's average damage. Or option 2, roll all damage dice normally, then multiply the total by 1.5 rounded down. So normally on a saving throw, because normally with a saving throw, it's half damage or full damage.
Correct.
But in this one, it's saying instead of taking full damage, you only take the average. Instead of rolling damage, you take the average, which could save on rolling time, or you take 1.5. So it's either more damage or I don't.
So here's my question, because usually when you're rolling a save that takes damage, it's usually because it's hitting something more than just you, like fireball. It's an area of effect. Now it could be something like Toll the Dead or the radiant damage one, but like at the end of the when it comes to, because you're right, you take half damage normally, right? If you succeed. This is specifically if you take a 1. Now, I don't know if some people use the rule where if you roll a natural 1 on the saving throw, you take max damage, and maybe
If
that's where
that's the
some of this is
case, that
coming
makes
from,
sense. That makes sense for the
right?
1.5 or average.
But
And the only time I can imagine taking 1.5 over the average or any of these over, because I can understand taking option 1 if you see the damage roll is higher and you take this in order to reduce the damage. But option 2 only seems to benefit when you have the one that, where is it? That increases it to where you get siphon. Where was it?
exactly.
How far back was it? Was it under the first ability? There. Yeah. So magic rebound. So at level 15, you gain resistance to the next spell damage that you take before the end of your next turn. So the only thing I can imagine is when you have
Oh,
this and it becomes siphon at level 20, you then say, I want to have 1.5 because then I want more because it actually becomes healing. But other than that, I don't understand why I would do these two. Because option 1 only reduces the rolled damage by a little bit or increases it by a little bit, and option 2 guarantees more damage. And the only time I can understand that would be if you're getting healed by it. So I'm
so
just a little confused on what the critical rules are meant for, because remember, these are optional.
yeah,
So it's either you just
I'm
take full damage or you take average or you take 1.5. But
yeah,
why would I take
curious
1.5 over full?
if Fox are in your games, when you roll a crit 1 on the saving throw like that, if the damage you take is changed at all.
I mean,
So
yeah, it is a multiplier of 1.5. So if they roll a
yeah.
3, it's like it's
Okay,
only,
so Foxer, my question would be, how would option 2 ever be less damage if it's multiplied by 1.5?
but it's roll the damage and then 1.5. So it's like it's more than the rolled damage, but less than guarantee. I don't know, because if I
Because
roll
when you
damage
roll
versus
all
roll, and
damage dice normally, I'm thinking the
if it's
damage
a lot
dice
of
were
dice, you
already
roll
rolled
them and then
normally.
they're all low. It may end up being less than average. But you say the following options instead. Okay, so these are so you don't these are, they have to choose one of the two. Like it isn't these aren't there's not another option. It's basically you take average or you take roll plus 1.5. Because normally, like you said, when you fail a saving throw, it's normally you take the full damage that would be rolled. This is just saying the full damage will be multiplied by 1.5, but that could technically be under average damage. So you take a risk by having it be rolled, because if it rolls all ones multiplied by 1.5 can still be less than the average. So it's just a gamble. It's only two options. When you roll a 1, you either accept average as a flat, or we roll, but it's going to be multiplied.
So we're saying this is the consequence.
Yeah, there is no other consequence. This is it. The optional rules aren't. It's not optional rules for the players. These are the two options.
These are Okay. Interesting. So you take average damage. See again. Maybe max damage is too much. I was thinking option 1 should be max damage, and then taking option not I guess, because if option 1 was max damage, option 2 would be the choice you take every single time, because it's just a
Yeah, because you'd always you'd always go
option.
for the chance, because there's less of a chance they would roll max and then it would be 1.5. So
Yeah.
okay, I don't mind the optional crit rolls.
Okay. Especially because it's usually not failure crit rolls.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't even mind if this was even like on a 3 or less of a saving throw, something like that. You know what I mean? Not necessarily only on a 1,
Oh,
but
so it procs more often.
just to make just to make it happen, because it's cool. It's a cool option. It's just I don't feel like it's gonna happen that often. Enhanced resistance interaction. When a creature or a player with resistance to a damage type consumes a potion of resistance to the same damage type, the resistance becomes immunity for half the duration of the potion's effect. That's kind of cool. So it does stack, but only for half the time. If a player who is already immune to a damage type consumes a potion of resistance of the same damage type, they instead gain a unique state called Siphon, which is, I'm assuming, going to heal. How Siphon works: while in Siphon, any incoming damage of the absorbed type does not harm the character. Instead, they are healed by half the amount of the damage that would have been dealt, although it lasts until the end of your next turn. Oh, okay, cool. So instead of the potion's effect, instead of it being dictated by the potion's effect, it'll only happen until the end of your next turn. So it's just guaranteed to roll into that same time frame. That's cool. I would definitely try to exploit that as much as possible.
Sure. Absolutely.
But I do think that's a very common. I don't want to say that's a very common thing. I think that should be common. I think this kind of concept with interactions should be something more DMs take into their own settings, for this idea of playing with resistances like this, going from resistant to immune and things of that sort. I really do think that there's a lot of missed opportunities here, and something like Siphon is absolutely the next best way to go. And honestly, I think there could be one on the exact opposite end, where after vulnerable, maybe it's like you take one, like for you, after vulnerable you become like exposed or something, or some other better word for that, but you would lose like a certain amount of permanent HP if you take that type of damage. Like 1/10 of all damage taken affects your permanent
Your max HP.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I love Siphon.
If say you're immune to necrotic damage, and you take a potion that makes you resistant to necrotic damage, and you gain Siphon for necrotic damage, and somebody casts like something like disintegrate on you, or excuse me, I'm sorry, disintegrate's force damage, but still same concept. Like you get something that like does like massive amounts of damage to you from like an ally, right? And then you just basically get to heal that much instead. Um, I don't know. I think that's a very interesting strategy, especially if it only lasts until the end of your next turn, so that you can guarantee some sort of use out of this. Like if you know the enemy's going to do it, or if there's like lava next to you, you can just jump into some fire and guarantee you're taking some of this damage.
Yeah.
Then heck yeah. But
Especially if you could like walk into like if there's like a zone of fire and you could down the potion and then just walk into the fire and be like, hey, it says I take 1d4 damage at the start of my turn or whenever I enter it. Let me get some heals.
Let's look it up. Exactly. So
All right, so the last one we get, or not the last one, the next one we get is Last Stand. Defy death, defy fate. When your body breaks, but your spirit still burns. When a player begins making death saving throws, they may choose once per campaign. This is it, one time, to invoke their last stand. Activation, go beyond your limits. At the start of their turn while making death saves, but before rolling, the player can declare they will rise in defiance of death. They immediately regain all of their hit points. They may act as normal with full movement and actions. They may critically succeed all saving throws and gain a level of resistance to all damages until the start of their next turn. However, from this moment forward, the character can no longer regain hit points by any means. No healing, magic, potions, regeneration, or not even the crown. That gives you all your bonus points. So you are done healing. Once you drop to 0 HP again, you will die permanently. There are no saving throws. Their soul begins to fade. So
does that include
it's basic.
Temporary hit points?
What's up?
Does that include temporary hit points?
Yes, it says hit points by any means, so I'm assuming yes. Temporary hit points, I would assume also apply. So this is interesting because there is no coming back. Like if you don't do this at the BBEG, like let's say you do this at level 18, but you're still going to go into level 20. That means that for those next two levels, you are basically, there are no more saving throws. It is a permanent, you are going to be, absolutely shut off from dying from that point forward. So cool, interesting mechanic. I'm surprised that there's not some sort of reclaimability even after such a long time, like even a couple levels. But I get that you only want this to be one time because it does give you basically like you are back on your feet 100%. And because it's before rolling, it says while making death saves, but before rolling. So I don't know if this means that I can do it before I roll my third one. Like if I failed two and I'm just like, you know what, I don't want to roll another one, I can use it. Or do I have to decide before I roll any of them? You know what I mean? So there is a little bit of interest there, but I dig it. I think it's a really cool mechanic. I just think that I would know for a fact I wouldn't want to use this until like right before or during the final boss fight.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can do it before rolling the last one. Okay, so it's before any particular roll. So yeah, that's also when I would probably wait for it. Is unless they needed my particular character up, I would probably wait till I absolutely needed it, absolutely at the last boss. Crisis point, when all seems lost. The brink of death is where legends awaken. When the entire party is reduced to 25% or less of their combined maximum hit points, they enter a state known as the crisis point. This state can only be triggered once per long rest and lasts for 3 rounds or until the total party HP is healed above 25% threshold. Crisis Surge. Choose 1 bonus per character. Each conscious character may immediately choose one of the following bonuses, which lasts until the end of the crisis point or until they fall unconscious. So for 3 rounds or they fall unconscious. 1 of 5 abilities. First one, Adrenaline Rush. Gain an extra action on your turn while Crisis Surge lasts for 3 rounds. Can be stacked with effects like Haste. So if you get Adrenaline Rush and then you're hasted, that basically gives you 2 extra, or yeah, you'll get an extra. This doubles as well. So extra action on your turn, then you get haste.
That is the attack action, which could potentially be multiple attacks.
Yeah, and then haste would give you that one again. So yeah, that's pretty good. You can also choose Focused Mind. Automatically succeed all saving throws during Crisis Surge. Not bad. Not bad.
Okay.
It's a good ability. Memory Echo. You regain 1 expended spell slot or feature that normally recharges on a long rest. Okay. Unyielding Will, you gain temporary HP equal to half your max HP once Crisis Surge finishes. So not right away, but after 3 rounds, you'll gain all that HP.
Okay.
I kind of like that one actually. That's a unique play on it. And the last one, True Aim. Until the end of the crisis point, your attacks ignore resistance, and you roll 3d20 for each attack roll and pick the highest.
Oh snap!
You may only choose one, and once selected, it cannot be changed. So everybody in the team gets any one of those for 3 rounds or until you fall unconscious. Yeah, and they all feel pretty good spread out. I feel like everybody on the team would be able to choose one and feel good about it.
That fits for them, yeah. But there might be a couple people choosing the same one, but still.
Yeah, I mean, number 3 would probably be the hardest one to choose. It's kind of targeted mainly at your spellcasters. But yeah, the extra action, the temp HP at the end, those could definitely be for your tank. Like your tank would definitely want to choose that one if they're still good and they don't need anything right now. Just being able to get that heal. And the True Aim is amazing too. Like just
and depending on the fight you're in, because I remember the Lavos fight, there was a lot of stuff going on with resistances where like he was either almost resistant or immune to like everything. So something like True Aim might be helpful. Depending upon the fight that's happening. But
all right, and we get to the last ability, Fractured Fate. You were not supposed to survive that moment, and yet you did. Once per campaign per player. If they die permanently, you may trigger Fate Fracture. The world skips a beat. Everyone but the player sees a vision of what should have been. Okay. Okay, so this is when a player dies. Everyone but the player sees a vision of what should have been. The player's soul is sent to a version of them that lived in an alternate self. That alternate self returns to the timeline, but not unscathed. The cost. They return, but they are inflicted with a negative 24 spread across all their core stats. See example below. These are the before and after. So before you were a 15, 14, 16, 12, 16, 14. But after this, you come back. If you were to evenly spread it out and take a negative 4 to every stat, you would come back as an 11, 10, 12, 8, 12, 10 for all of your abilities. That's devastating. Now, granted, it's not like that harsh, but yeah, that could ruin a couple builds.
Couple things. I'm curious if you could take a stat all the way down to 0, because usually most times when something says it reduces a stat, it says if this would reduce one of your stats to 0, you die. That's usually what it says. I'm curious if that's the same case here. So you have to leave at least every stat. It has to have at least 1 point, right?
That would make sense. I would assume that you have to at least be able to, withstand the stat loss.
Also, there are certain items that say your X stat is Y. Your strength stat is 24 or something ridiculous.
So would this override that?
Your strength to something. So, question is, if this is affecting me as a person, and say I want to, I'm a strength-based character, but I have this item that makes my strength a 25 or 23 or something crazy, right? And I choose, when this happens, I choose to put the majority of my negatives in my strength, so that when my strength goes down to a 1, I still have this item that makes my strength a 23.
I would say that is valid because that's how magic works. It replaces what you have. But this ability targets what you have. So both target what you have. So yeah, I don't think the item would be superseded. You would just be beholden to that item, in my opinion. You would need the item to keep that strength.
Got you. Okay.
So yeah, this was very interesting. So I know it wasn't just like the item. I know that there was a couple options here, and then there was the item. But those items are temporary, like the giant potion of strength. Otherwise, what item would you? Okay, yeah. Just like temporary.
No, there are plenty of items like the I think there's like a belt of Hill Giant strength that just sets your
oh yeah, like the belt. Yeah. There are a couple like magic items that you would be able to tune to.
set your strength. Like, there's like the helm of intelligence that sets your intelligence to a 23. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah. So stuff like that would be more akin to that. That's
yeah.
actually a really great example. Um, yeah, I like this. So again, we have some mechanics here. We have mechanics for legendary abilities, but they can only be activated when you have a certain magical item. We have the critical fail save rules. We have the enhanced reaction resistance with Siphon. We also have this ability to not die and bring yourself back, but then potentially permanently die afterwards. But beyond, and then we also have the crisis point, which is kind of like a team buff when they're all pretty low. You have the fractured fate, which means once you do permanently die, so I'm assuming that that's after you do last stand, and then you permanently die, you can come back with a lot of diminished stats. So those are all of the personal, like, specific mechanics to that boss series, which overall I think they're pretty great. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. Like I said, my biggest holdup is that as much as I love these legendary actions, I just don't think I'd be that interested in being the one to utilize them. But everything else, I don't mind the alternatives to the crit fail. The resistance, I think, is absolute gold. Not what I would have done with Last Stand, but I still think that kind of mechanic is absolutely amazing, especially for super high powered games. Crisis Point is if the critical fail and enhanced resistance, if Siphon is gold, then I will say the Crisis Point's like platinum. Like, this is such a very unique video game-esque concept that doesn't feel out of place in a TTRPG. Like, to be completely honest, this is one of those few things that does feel inspired by video games, but does not feel out of place seeing it here. And that's where it's like Siphon feels like it's missing from the game. This just feels like it's a next level of thinking when it comes to stages of the game. Because we've talked about this before, about how do we represent health and how do we represent the stages of combat. And this is an example exactly of what that is. This is the perfect example of how you want to consider making stages of combat. You know, so yeah, this and the Siphon are like my favorite aspects of it. The general concept is really nice. I just not my particular flavor of deployment with the one item for the legendary reactions. But still, just solid, very solid. Crisis Point is your way of saying, okay, I think I'm kicking your butts too hard. Here's a small pushback to get you back on your feet. I mean, and again, I think that's great. Like, there are times where you could set up a boss that has multiple stages, so you have to get through certain things in order to beat the boss. But this is like the other way around, where you are so strong, the boss has to get through 3 phases of you, right? They could take you down to 0, but then you're back at full. They could take you down to 0 again, but then you're back at full, but slightly diminished. You know what I mean? It's like there's this cycle that they also have to work through. It's not just a one and done for them. Whereas, you have to like sit there and slog through it. And we know that the bosses can stand up to this. We know that they have the ability to tank a lot of this, but these will level out a lot of what we saw. So again, my only detriment to this is just my lack of interest in the magic item and how the legendary actions work. That's it. So
because of what you would have to give up.
Yeah. And so honestly,
detriments to it.
Yeah. So really though, with everything, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. It's just not quite there for me. Like I'd play it. That I'd for sure play it. This is something that I absolutely would be interested in. This is such a cool concept. I would play something along these lines. It's not how I would do it as a DM, but as a player, it's very appealing. It's very interesting. I feel like while I wouldn't approve of a lot of calls, I would be able to very easily just roll with them. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes playing certain TTRPGs, you're just like, I really don't like how that happens. There may be times where I'm like, I don't know about that, but hey, that's how this works. Let's just roll with it. I think this could be a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of interesting aspects with legendary points, and I would love to be in a party that could utilize them and strategize with them. I just don't want to be the one responsible for them. So that's really where the 0.5 is going to come off. That, yeah, it's really just how the legendary actions work. It just feels limiting, But other than that, that's my only thing that gives me hesitation. Otherwise, I would be all for it.
Okay, Bug Life.
Well, it's only out of 5, Super Foxer. Because we're doing a showcase today, it's only out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
So it's not out of 10. 10.
Which is the
We
only
separate the regular reviews from the showcases with a out of 5 stars versus out of 10, because out of 10 gives us more nuance to talk about compatibility, right? Because I have a lot of different things I look for with compatibility. You know, are you rewriting the wheel? Is it something I already have? Is it make me do all these new things? Like, there's levels of which I take points away for why it's not close to something that I would want to adopt. But when it comes to the showcase, it has nothing to do with me wanting to adopt this. That's not why you presented it to us. This was something that you ran completely in its own shell, and therefore this showcase is more to show it off, showcase, but also for us to approach it as if I was a player and you came to me saying, "Hey, I want to run this campaign. What do you think?" And this is what you showed me. That out of 5 stars is how likely I would be to jump in a game, like how likely I want to play it. 5 out of 5 basically means I'm drafting up a character now, and 1 out of 5 is basically like it has no interest to me. So this 4 out of 5, again, I want to play it. Sounds really cool. I have hesitations, and I think I would miss out on some of the key features because I'm not interested in doing the crown part. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't benefit from all of these additional rules. I like all of the additional rules. I think that playing in a game with these rules would be a lot of fun. So yes, 4.5 out of 5, not out of 10.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think Kage, you actually switched it up to actually have 2 different leaderboards, right? So we actually have a showcase leaderboard now.
Yes.
Cool. So that will actually be linked, hopefully. Can we link that in the hyperlink? Can we actually have both of them just linked? One for the leaderboard, one for the showcase?
Yes. So I have the other leaderboard, but I need to create like a display version for the other leaderboard, but I can do that too. Yeah. I will get that up there too, so that way everybody can see the showcase stuff as well.
Fantastic. And that closes the Chrono Trigger saga. That was the last piece for the Chrono Trigger saga from Foxer. We went through all the bosses. We went through now the player mechanics. The only thing we didn't really go through is specifically the crown. But maybe if you want to talk to Foxer a little bit about specifics on that write-up, and maybe we can do like another little highlight of that on a different episode. I don't know if there's anything more that we missed.
Got through most of the important crown information today.
Okay,
so
awesome.
It was all mentioned today. There was nothing significant that was on the write-up that I was given that we didn't talk about today, that we didn't include.
That's fine. Yes, and Speedster is next. Oh, you experimented a bit with Speedster. Okay, Speedster is a bit of an experiment. All right. I love that. I love experiments. I want to see what people come up with. So, all right, excellent. So we are 1,000 away from the community stream for next month. We have what are we doing next Monday? What's the next review?
Ooh, that is a good question. Let's take a gander here. We just finished doing Boxer.
In short, the crown makes you neutral to everything, prevents healing, and needs attunement so it can't come out once in combat. Makes sense. It's just kind of the defining feature that locks a character into playing that like bonus role, essentially, once you get to that stage. Which I totally understand. We're losing you in audio.
We're losing me?
Oh yeah, there you are. For a second there, I wasn't getting you.
Okay. So I have the next one. The next one we are going to be doing is one of the subclasses for our Gambeteer, the cards-based one from Soul.
Right. Okay.
So we did his main class when we first brought this up, and he's got 3 subclasses: spades, hearts, and diamond. And we're going to start with spades, the trick shot.
Gotcha. That's right. That's okay. Cool. Boxer wants to know if this is another situation where we'll get the schedule updated the day before.
For
the schedule in Discord? Are you gonna update that like Sunday, the day before the review?
Of
Boxer wants to know
course.
when they should check the schedule.
Check it tomorrow and send me a DM and see what happens.
There you go. All right, so I don't know what we're gonna do on Friday. Maybe we'll pick up with some D&D discussions, or maybe we'll try something else. I don't know. We gotta figure that out. But no plans as of yet for a specific topic or anything. But it was a lot of fun just having you quiz me on stuff and just talking about like how I would do things. That's, it's so funny. Like I love that we have developed this show over nearly 3 years now. I mean, it's gonna be 3 years and like 2 months. And I know we've kind of just like been dynamic about it, and we've just been kind of expanding the way that we feel natural. But it is funny that there are some things that I still miss doing and always wanted to do more of. It just never really fell into our wheelhouse. Like High Point histories and just talking about High Point and how I DM was kind of like a big overarching thing that I wanted to do with this podcast, and really just be able to have so much content about my realm and how I DM my ideas. And we get through it piece by piece with reviews and conversations and stuff. But I just feel like I just don't get to really do that, where I just get, I mean, we don't have the audience just yet, right? Like we have a much bigger audience. We probably get a lot more of those level of questions more regularly, but that is just a passion of mine, not in an ego way of getting to talk about just my stuff, but just really trying to help people, like what we were doing with you on Friday, just putting together an approach, or at least explaining how certain approaches work. Like with you talking about how to do like encounters that aren't just to the death, and how much do you need to pre-plan versus how much can you pull out of like the context of the situation. Those kind of conversations are just really what I always wanted from all of this, but again, it just never really like came up to be the main topic of conversation. So I would like to get back to doing regular D&D discussions, but we gotta have good content. We gotta have good topics. Sometimes it just doesn't seem like we have enough to really dive into.
I feel it.
But that's what we try. That's why we have a community trying to give us ideas. So speaking of which, you guys can always follow us in Discord or anywhere on social media. You can find us pretty much everywhere. Some places more than others. We have a presence in most places, but where we're active, it's only in a few. So go follow us if you can. Thank you, Foxer, for the review tonight, and thank you for the submission. I really do think that whole campaign sounds like a lot of fun. I think more people should do fun packaged mini-series like that. I guess that's what it would be called. Instead of a one-shot, it's a mini-series. And yeah, I like that. We used to call them modules, but that's more of a proper one. So yeah, I think more mini-series like this, multiple bosses, multiple stages, with some unique abilities. I think that would be the leaderboard web is bugged. Can you double check to see if there's an issue with the leaderboard?
Yes.
Oh wait, never mind. They got it. Okay. Looks like they may have gotten it. But yeah, 2 leaderboards for the showcase and for the regular review, so y'all can go check that out in Discord. And yeah, other than that, we don't have any other major updates. There might be some big updates coming, but I'm gonna hold. Oh yeah, it filtered on account. Yeah, that'll do it. But yeah, there might be some major updates that will change some things coming in the next couple months. But I'm gonna sit on those until I know more for sure. But until then, more content coming at you. More content always, twice a week, every week. And in May, it will be 3 years. Misfit Gamer Studios will be 3 years old come May 5th.
I'm here for it.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy that we've been doing this twice a week for 3 years. years.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
Bro.
and it's so weird, bro. Like, I really do feel like we just did the subathon like 6 months ago.
Yeah, actually.
Like, I feel like we just did the subathon, and
That was a big bet, though. That was a big bet. We stayed
uh,
for so long.
we're gonna have to do another one. We're gonna have to replan another one. All right.
Hey, man.
All right, y'all. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that review. Foxer, thank you again. You know where to find us every Monday and Friday right here for your regularly scheduled D&D content. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I hope you guys have a great week ahead of you. We'll be back on Friday, but until then, take care of the rest of your day. Cheers.
Deuces, my friend.